There's the big button that turns the microphone on. Better late than never. Hi ho, chillio. Good evening. I'm David Reimer with Texas Storm Chasers. It is 10:36. I'm 6 minutes late, and this is a 10:30 p.m. update on Major Hurricane Laura. We are now within about 3 to 4 hours of landfall. Stronger feeder bands are moving onshore in far southwestern Louisiana, and the numbers you're seeing on your screen are measured wind gusts from various automated weather stations and buoys in the Gulf of Mexico. Major Hurricane Laura has ceased intensifying this evening, but that does not mean a darn thing because the hurricane still has maximum sustained winds of 150 miles per hour, and the major hurricane has been pushing crazy amounts of water towards the northwestern Gulf Coast this morning. Already observing storm surge of 4 to 6 feet in various measurements. Mind you, these are automated measurements because anyone measuring those at this point would be in certain danger of death. Major Hurricane Laura is going to make landfall near the Texas-Louisiana border about 2 a.m., so in about 3 to 4 hours. We anticipate tropical storm force winds to continue spreading inland over the next couple of hours. We already have sustained tropical storm force winds in far southeast Texas and along the immediate southwestern Louisiana coast. The Lake Charles Airport just reported a 61 mile per hour wind gust. We've got 55 mile an hour winds being reported at Sabine Pass. And the hurricane force winds, at least in the initial gust, will start moving onshore within the next 45 to 60 minutes. Sustained hurricane force winds over 75 miles per hour are expected to be onshore within 2 hours. The northern eye wall remains quite formidable, as you would expect, with a high-end Category 4 hurricane. And that eye wall is not too far from being offshore. Now, the southern side of the hurricane may look weak with the radar, but that's because the eye wall is deflecting a lot of the radar's energy. Sorry, I'm just taking a quick peek at data. Make sure I have the correct radar on. There we go. Sorry, my radar was doing something really kind of weird right there. But the storm surge is definitely going to be a huge story with Laura, unfortunately. Let me get these observations back on, kick the animation back in gear, and there we go. Storm surge up to 20 feet above ground level on the immediate Louisiana coastline in southwest Louisiana. The problem is you might know, it is very flat along the coast and in southwestern Louisiana, so generally in most of southern Louisiana. That's going to allow this devastating storm surge to move up to 40 miles inland into places like Lake Charles. If this was any farther east, we'd be talking about big issues in Lafayette. Interstate 10 has been closed in Lake Charles, and Interstate 10 is probably going to stay closed for many days. Not only are they going to have to clean up and repair the roadway from storm surge related issues, but the major hurricane force winds are likely going to topple many trees on Interstate 10, and that's assuming there isn't major damage to any of the bridges for Interstate 10 in southwestern Louisiana. Looks like the pressure now for Laura is around 938 millibars. That is a little lower than what we thought it might be at this point. It was up to about 940 millibars, so the hurricane remains steady state. We don't expect any significant changes in intensity up until landfall. After landfall, the hurricane will begin a rapid weakening, but that will not stop damaging winds from spreading over 200 miles inland Thursday morning. East Texas, especially far East Texas. The closer you are to Louisiana, the higher the winds are going to be later Thursday morning. Could have sustained tropical storm force winds over 40 miles an hour all the way up to places like Texarkana, Longview. Hurricane force winds making their way inland towards Lufkin, Jasper. Could have wind gusts over 100 miles per hour. That's going to cause a lot of trees to come down. Those trees are going to take out the power infrastructure. We could have big time problems with power infrastructure being destroyed, which could cause widespread power outages and power outages that last several days to over 1 week in some cases. At this point, nobody in Port Arthur, Orange, Lake Charles should be out. We're starting to enter the very dangerous portion of this storm where the surge will begin to rapidly inundate areas, and we're going to see winds come up significantly over the next hour. And when that eye wall gets on shore, the winds are going to quickly jump from 50 to 80 up towards 90 to 150 miles per hour. Obviously, that's tornado-like winds, and you're going to have to treat it like that. Lowest floor center room away from windows in places like Beaumont, Lake Charles, for those who stayed. The problem is in Lake Charles, there's going to be probably 3 to 15 feet of rapidly moving storm surge coming into town. So that's why you got told to get out, and hopefully everyone did. There are several storm chasers in Lake Charles. Alex and Jason with our team included that are safely documenting the hurricane from a well-built parking garage, several stories above the ground. So they should be starting their live stream before too much longer, and that's already embedded in our website, texasstormchasers.com/live. You can watch it in our mobile app, and we'll share the links on our various social media feeds as well when they start streaming to our YouTube channel. But at this point, landfall is going to be in about 3 hours. Around 2 a.m. Central Time, the storm will keep moving north through Thursday morning, bringing damaging winds, power outages, tree damage to East Texas, Far East Texas, Texarkana area, the Arklatex, and we are expecting extreme winds and storm surge flooding in places like Beaumont, Port Arthur, Orange. We could even see some bayside flooding in Galveston Island, the Bolivar Peninsula, and even some Gulf side storm surge, even though y'all are on the western semicircle of Hurricane Laura. We note wind gusts just east of Galveston are now over 40 miles per hour. These are wind gusts. These aren't sustained. But it's getting windy. It is going to get much windier over the next couple of hours. So Hurricane Laura continues to move towards the coast around 13 miles per hour, remaining a high-end Category 4 major hurricane with a storm surge up to 20 feet above ground level, moving 40 miles inland in southwestern Louisiana, a storm surge of 8 to 12 feet, perhaps a bit bigger, around Sabine Pass, over towards Port Arthur, Orange, and Beaumont. Water will quickly continue to rise as we get closer to midnight and eventually landfall around 2 a.m. Even after landfall, we're still going to see water moving inland because there's so much water that has been pushed by this hurricane. It's going to take a while for it to, well, quit moving ashore, unfortunately. So we're in for a long morning. Absolutely no travel is advised in the Golden Triangle and southwestern Louisiana now through probably 10 a.m. Thursday. Once the storm's out of the picture, and it's going to be moving north pretty quickly, thankfully, we'll start getting a better idea of what happened. But until then, folks need to stay off the road, stay home, let emergency responders do their job. Laura should be... let me see. Did I ever load that NHC track? No. Well, let me see if I can do that real quick. I'll get the NHC forecast loaded, and we can take a look at that and talk about some timing. You know what? We're just going to do it this way. I'm going to show you how to do it. Really? Just go look at the forecast for the next 3 days. Laura, which should be a tropical storm by 7 p.m. Thursday, will be located southeast of Hot Springs, Arkansas, moving towards Little Rock, eventually slowing down a bit, passing across northeastern Arkansas, over in the bootleg of Missouri. But the good news is, by about 10 p.m. Thursday, maybe a bit earlier, we will be done with Laura's wind, rain, surge, tornado threat. But the damage from Laura is going to take a lot longer to deal with, unfortunately. Regarding the potential for flash flooding, this is the latest, that wasn't nice, flash flood outlook from the Weather Prediction Center. You can see the highest threat for flooding will generally be across Far East Texas and in the Arklatex, extending into Arkansas proper. This is going to be after midnight tonight through the morning and early afternoon hours on Thursday. The threat for flooding will decrease dramatically the farther west you go. You could see there's only a low-end threat in DFW, and that's because this is going to be pretty far east of Interstate 35, fortunately. So this storm won't be stalling out, which is a good thing. It's not going to be a Harvey or an Allison in terms of the potential for stalling, but we are going to have to watch for a couple tornadoes across far east Texas and Louisiana overnight. You can see, well, no, you can't because I turned the warnings off and y'all aren't even looking at the radar because I didn't turn the radar back on. I hit buttons. They don't like it when I hit buttons. There are tornado warnings out the wazoo across southern Louisiana this morning. Those red boxes, these are tornado warnings. So there are possible rain-wrapped tornadoes in the outer bands of Laura, and that's moving north in a hurry. So Lake Charles, and then eventually these potential tornadoes may be a threat to far east Texas, Jasper to Beaumont, Kirbyville, Buna. Later this morning, could even have a threat up to Hemp Hill and St. Augustine Center, Carthage, after sunrise Thursday. So we're just watching at this point. There's nothing we can do. The storm has, the book's pretty much written in terms of intensity. We're not going to see much weakening, if any, before landfall. Major Hurricane Laura will change the landscape of southwestern Louisiana forever, unfortunately. It'll be like Katrina for the Mississippi coast and Andrew for areas south of Miami back in 91 or 92. I never can remember that year, but this is a storm for the record books, unfortunately, a red letter day. But we'll keep watching it. Nobody should be out there right now. Anybody. So, okay, we're going to be back by midnight, maybe a little after, with a new update on that. I expect Jason and Alex from Lake Charles will be streaming from their reinforced parking garage before too much longer. And once they're streaming, we'll get that link out on Facebook and Twitter. It's already embedded in our website. Just go to texasstormchasers.com/live. I'll put a banner on the top of the website so you can find it. Those using our mobile app, you can just click on the live video button at the bottom of the page. We've also got free interactive HD radar on our website, texasstormchasers.com/radar. We also have wind observations overlaid on that. Very useful for hurricanes like this one. I'm David Reimer of Texas Storm Chasers. I'll talk to y'all again around midnight.